right, so we're gonna attempt to put up the parachute. So basically I have just landed, right? And I have my aviator kit bag that's usually underneath the harness, and usually the bottom straps go over and under to click on, so when you land it's already there. And so as I land, I take off my harness, pack tray, I lay this out because I know I'm gonna have to stuff everything in here. But we gotta be really careful, because the first thing I do is, as soon as I take off my reserve, I like to put my reserve with the reserve handle, because this is very important not to ever touch unless it's an emergency in flight. So we want to make sure that that's down so no one, myself, accidentally pull it. So now we want to protect all the hardware. So the first thing we do, this is the packing tray with the harness. As you can see, this is where the parachute system deployed out as the static line got through pulling as we jumped out the C-47. We're going to put this face down into the aviator's kit bag, like so. So we just put that down nice and gently. You got to remember, this is, most people that buy their MC1 Delta, this thing costs a lot of money. So it's like your Mercedes, take good care of it. So right here, this is your waist strap. First thing I do, so I'll know exactly where it's located all the time, is I tie a nice knot on the handle so I know exactly where it's at. Because we're about to start pulling in all the parachute cord, the risers, and we're going to lay them nice and neatly. And what I usually do is I try to put it in here as nice and neatly as possible for the riggers, because they work so hard to make sure that we're safe. We want to make sure that everything is very easy for them to pull out. So as you can see, I kind of pull the aviator's kit bag as I stuff this nice and neatly in here on top. All the way to where the vents are. Make sure that's nice. And then what I like to do is I like to try to fold. Now if it's a windy day, it's going to be really hard to do this. But if you can take some of the panels, the side panels, and move them in almost like if you're trying to fold a sheet on your bed. And always, always, always pull any debris that you see away from the system. Like I said, you want to make sure you're going to take care of your parachute system because you paid for it. And these are very expensive. So we're going to move these panels to the side, nice and neatly, as tight as possible. We're going to move the vents in. See, we got some sticks in here. Make sure those are out. Move this in with the vents. Try to make sure all this is kind of tight together. Move this up a little bit more. We're going to put the vents in. There we go. Now for the fun part. I'm a little guy. I have little arms. The bigger you are and the taller and longer your arms are, it's easy. It's always important to find the apex ring. That's the very tip of the parachute system, right? Put it on your thumb, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to do kind of like a figure 8 formation, like this, and then you're going to bring it over the top, and as neatly as possible, you still got your thumb on there, you're stuffing the parachute system down into the bag over the top. Now you see why it's important to put the metal on the bottom so that way it doesn't snag your parachute system. So I'm still holding on to the apex ring. Stuffing this into aviator's kit bag nice and neatly while still holding on to the apex ring. And you remember I told you it's very important to have the strap that was tied, because this is going to go through it. This makes it very, very easy for the riggers through the handle, and you're going to tie it off like so. And you never ever zip up your aviator's kit bag once the parachute system's in, because if you do too, it could snag it. So what we want to do is carefully snap the buttons like so. always be looking ahead because they may have another stick that's jumping. Always be looking ahead, above. Make sure you're not getting landed on. If so, you need to communicate. Communication is very much key to let them know that you're down. Now, what we want to do is we look around, make sure everything else is picked up. And you want to take your reserve always by the handle, by protecting. And what I usually do to make it easy, I pop this over here on this way. It's really easy for little people to do it this way because you can distribute the weight while you're carrying this off the drop zone, the DZ, okay? Let's see, make sure what I usually do is I turn it around like so, make sure I do it correctly. Let's see. This is where it gets tricky. You want to turn it around this way. It's going to be upside down, but it doesn't matter. So mainly you just kind of flip it over your head like so, like that. And then as you're walking off, always protect the reserve handle and make your way as fast as you can off the DZ. So this right here is what you call the D bag, or also known as the deployment bag. Very important for when you're jumping out of an aircraft. So basically, the parachute system that you saw, when the rigger actually does his job, puts it all back together nice the way it's supposed to be, they usually put it in a certain pattern. So that way, when the static line pulls your parachute out, it comes straight out, and you have a beautiful canopy. So this is what the inside looks like. On the outside is where all your parachute cord kind of zigzags through, and there's a certain way that they do it. I'm not a rigger, so that part you would have to look up. But what's important about this is people ask, how does your parachute come out? Do you pull it yourself or what? So most military, U.S. Army and such, now I am not in the Army, but I am part of a team that does honor veterans, and we jump out of a C-47. And it's the same C-47 that has flown into D-Day and also Market Garden. So it's really cool to be able to be a part of history. But what you do as you are sitting down in the aircraft and you've got propellers going really loud, it's hard to hear the jump master. And so the jump master is going to tell you basically when it's 1,000 feet or more that you've got 6 minutes, and everybody has to repeat 6 minutes. And then they'll say stand up. Then you stand up, and then he'll say hook up. When you hook up, you take your static line, and as you can see the hooking system right here, you take it, it always faces towards the door because we're going to be jumping out towards the door. So remember, towards the door. And what you want is 2 fingers width. I don't have anything to hang it on. So as you can see, I put 2 fingers. You hold on to it like this because this part right here is what the jump master, you're going to hand off to him. He's going to take it from you as you do a right face. You go into a tight position, chin down to your chest, holding your arms in as tight as possible while you're holding the sides of your reserve. Feet, knees together as tight as possible as you exit the aircraft. As you do that, the propeller blast is going to move you around, and you're going to have this beautiful exit of your parachute system. You count to 4, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. You look up, you check canopy, and you gain canopy control by pulling either the risers or the toggles. You have to look down to make sure you know where you're at, where the DZ is at all times. And then once you exit, you are the pilot. You need to pilot your way. Either if you're over the trees, you need to run with the wind, right, to where you need to land. Or if you're on it, you can turn around and hold towards the wind to get a good landing. When you land, you do what's called a parachute landing fall. It's also called a PLF, and you hit your 5 points of contact. First of all, you have to have your feet and knees together. Knees slightly bent, chest, chin all the way tucked in. You pull your risers down to a tight position. You don't want to have your elbows out because that's going to hurt when you land. And you hit 5 points of contacts, which is your heel, your calf, your thigh, your buttocks, and your pull-up muscle, causing a nice round movement to absorb the impact. But this right here is very important because as you exit the aircraft, that is the device as you hand it off. You always should be looking at the jump master, not the door. Jump master at all times. As you're walking down, and then he will move the static line away as you exit the aircraft, and that is what pulls and deploys your parachute system.